Chris in California. You're on with Jamie and V, and the description says that you called last week and are questioning, I think.
No, not necessarily questioning. I'm a lot of things, but hi, Jamie. Hi, B. Yeah. You're caught in a loop on my internet here, so I'm going to turn you off on that. But let me see. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah,
I shouldn't do that. I was faking you out.
Spinning around in your faces. Yeah, sorry. Hey, just to get it over with real quick. I mean, I talked to Matt, Mr. Dillahunty, and I was trying to explain just my religious viewpoint. You know, I'm agnostic and blah, blah, blah. But then I was sort of throwing in the things that should have been tagged on at the end right away. So anyway, it'll take 1 minute, and I'll say what I am. I wrote it down here. So
okay. 1, 2, 3, go. I've got a timer going. Quick, go.
Okay. Okay. So as a precursor, I just want to share my experience, perspective. I am not trying to prove or convince anybody of anything. Okay. Belief seems to be a big thing. You know, do you believe, do you not believe, or whatever. So I've looked up the definition, and it appears how it goes is belief is sort of then your knowledge and then what you call truth. So I wrote that down. I don't know if people agree with that or not, but that's what I got out of it. Anyway, so this is what I am. I am agnostic. I don't believe there's a God, and I don't believe there isn't. I don't know. What I believe in general are tangible things. Then I thought about it. Friends, loved ones, mannerisms, emotional reactions. That's something that I know well enough that I kind of believe that. Observable phenomena, you know, look up in the sky, see the sun, see the stars, and well-documented things. And these are the things I'm close to 100% certain of. I like to kind of treat everything agnostically. That's inside. But anyway, non-tangible things have a greater degree of uncertainty to them. I could say anywhere from 0 to 99.9% certainty. With major things like religion, paranormal phenomena, astrology, etc., I like to assume there is an air of truth to begin with, and they might possibly be true until proven otherwise. This is where I made the mistake before, because I said I believe everything, it's all willy twoo is the joke. Anyway, just to finish off the last sentence here, sorry.
Okay.
If you don't mind. Considering the possibility that doctrine might be true does not mean belief or adherence to that entire doctrine, in my eyes. And believing individuals all the time is an iffy proposition. So Matt threw a couple of...
he said believing individuals all the time is a risky proposition.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I understand and agree with the sentiment, but the phrasing sparks a line of reasoning that I would like to question and examine.
Yeah, I think I agree with like 90% of that from what I understand. I think you saying.
The entire first half of that is stuff that I can say, oh yes, that in specific wording describes me, except for where you say, therefore I'm an agnostic, and leave it at that. I would say, therefore I am an agnostic atheist.
Right.
And leave it at that.
So, yeah, the only part of that I would really have an issue with is the assumption that things are true instead of the assumption that things are not yet true.
Yeah. Right.
Additionally, I'd like to point out real quick, but before you jump back in, Chris, you said with things like, you listed homeopathy among them. Horoscopes. You said horoscopes, not homophobia. You said astrology, and in my mind thought horoscopes, and that's in the same category in my mind as homeopathy.
Yeah.
Portraying a little bit of bias here. So you said astrology, whatever. I'd like to assume there's an error of truth, but you began that with things like, which I think betrays a little bit of a bias in your thinking as far as accepting propositions as true or likely true. And I would say that I perhaps have the opposite bias, which is when a person talks about wisdom of the ancients and the influence or the descriptive power of the apparent description of stars, or the power of water in homeopathy, or the power of crystals, because crystals are cool and a different kind of thing on healing, or Reiki. put these things in the same category of there's good reason to believe, based on the context of these types of claims, that this new specific claim about them is false or likely false.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you appear to have the opposite bias, and I'm wondering if you've thought about why.
Jamie, if I can stop you for a minute there. A thing to clarify is that I try to sort of bring it together is that non-tangible things, uncertainty, 0 to 99.9%. I mean, I could put a percentage on each one of these, you know. Astrology, I'd say I'm certain of that, maybe 20, you know, paranormal phenomena, I don't know, psychic stuff going on, I'd say I'm sure of that, maybe 60%. It all has a different percentage to it to me. I mean, that's the concept.
That's good.
The truth is the truth or it's false. That's one of these things Dillahunty throws out there, or throws these basic logic arguments at me that Captain Kirk used a bunch of times to blow up computers like every other episode. Stuff like that, you know.
Well,
wait.
Anyway.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So I see here. There's one thing that I'm wondering about. So like, I would not say to somebody who said that they experienced a paranormal phenomenon that they were wrong and they didn't experience anything, right? So like, I would say, okay, I believe you up to a certain point that like you think you experienced this. I don't think you're lying to me. But I wouldn't then go on to make an assumption about why it happened or what caused it. So when you're saying you have 40% or 60%, I forget, percent confidence or belief in paranormal experiences, are you talking about the actual experiences, that they actually happened for some reason, or that the reasoning behind it, ghosts or poltergeists or whatever, are accurate? Because those are two different things.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, it would probably be both, but I'm not. I mean, both to a degree. That yes, this happened, and what was the other one? Is there something behind it?
Well, the chair fell over by itself. Okay, like, I can accept that maybe the chair fell over, but then the person saying it is like, yes, it was a ghost that did it. Are you taking both of those at 60% confidence that, yes, the chair fell over and, yes, a ghost did it? Or I'm confused about how you're using percentages here.
No, that one would probably be the win was a bigger chance.
Well, yeah.
I don't know. So I mean, a ghost doing it, yeah, there's a chance.
So do you have a belief? Do you have a level of confidence in the existence of ghosts? Here, we'll hone down on a specific one.
Yeah, I kind of do, and from my own experience and thoughts about it, I think they waver around 50% probably in my mind, and
so what is it that is
up to 60?
Yeah, I'm going to be more assertive because we're low on time, and I've got at least one other call I want to get to.
Sure.
What is it that makes you believe that ghosts exist or are likely to exist?
There's I mean, you get down to the definition of what exactly it is, but I mean, I don't know.
I don't have
establish
one.
that.
Everybody has a different one. That's the thing.
I was gonna say I don't know of anyone that has one at all.
I mean, I could put it this way: it relates to how I feel about what you would call what my subject would have been, and question would be talking about the spiritual aspect of things. And a ghost is a spiritual aspect. Call it however you want, however you logic people want to do it. Say, it's the consciousness of a person that lives on, or whatever the heck, an unseen aspect of being. The spiritual aspect is a ghost.
So
I have two
whether
they stick around and haunt and how all that works, I don't know. But to me, it seems likely that they exist.
You said unlikely or likely?
I don't know.
You said
it's somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
Somewhere in the middle.
There's a sort of 50. So, okay.
Dipping down to 25 and going up to 70.
Yeah, so two. One, I know that you threw out the phrase logic people, not as a deliberate slur, but know that I take it as a compliment.
Okay, that's fine. I'm sorry.
No. Thank you. I'm happy to be of the logic people. My people are now the logic people, apparently. But when you're talking about ghosts, how important is it for you to come to a conclusion that is accurate versus one that is good or better?
That one... accurate.
Okay, cool. So, for example, if the conclusion...
No, pardon me, that's not the answer. Accurate was not the answer. And don't really care that much about it. I have my feelings about what's going on.
No, you seem to care a lot if you're ascribing percentages to it.
He's sort of casually. So what I would say is that seems like a better path, or at least as good a path as any, to an understanding of why these ideas crop up in the popular culture, right? Or at least the popular culture, the culture that you're exposed to.
Well, every culture has a ghost story. So
that is actually not accurate, because there are cultures where, no, there are no such thing as ghosts, and if you think you see a ghost, it's clearly a witch bewitching you, and you should ignore it entirely, right? Like, it's not a universal thing across cultures at all. Like, it's sort of assumed to be, and it's certainly not uncommon in cultures, like a one-off, and that's because cultures are made up of humans, and we have similar experiences that we don't understand, largely that occur in our brains that we attempt to explain in supernatural terms, because then we have an answer to questions that we want an answer to. So what I would say, Chris, sorry, I'm hoarse at the moment in a non-spiritual sense, is that an examination of the kinds of things that relate to when a person dies, right? And the origins of ghost stories and how they relate to very, very human elements of, well, here is the body of a person that I knew. Here's the body of my mother. And I can recognize that that's my mother, but there's something inherently different or weird about it. There's a part of her being that's gone. And imagine that through the eyes of a somewhere between 13 to 30-year-old 3,000 years ago attempting to, or 2,500 years ago, attempting to figure out exactly what that means, the idea that there's something missing, and then the various things that happen with the subconscious and dreams that we assign so much fucking significance to. I've dreamed of my mother, and in my dream, my mother said, she loves me, and also we should move 2 villages west for winter, or whatever. These things are, in my view, products of the mind, and I think that you should examine that hypothesis critically, or the hypothesis that I've proposed, which is that the human mind is imperfect and has emotional attachments, and any ability to reason or examine how something came about critically came much later in our evolution. And I wish desperately that this call could be longer than it can be, because we're coming up very, very, very close on 2:30 Central Time.
Yeah, can I just jump in real quick?
Oh, please.
In 2 minutes. Oh boy. Okay, go ahead, B. I'm sorry.
My one concern here is not about ghosts specifically or any one issue. It's that you're using this view where you are ascribing, as you say, hypothetical percentages to the truth of different things. So if you look at ghosts, right, as one, and you're like, 30%, let's go with 30%. Then you have to break that down into the different descriptions of ghosts from the different cultures and other people's experiences, and assign each of those a percentage, and then average those out, and then come to a percentage. But then, it seems like a whole lot of work to do if you're going to follow through.
Can we hold 1 second? So since we rarely have any time, let me try to crank it out here.
Yeah, you got 15 seconds.
My point is, this is all personal. That they're all my percentages. I got a few sentences to put down here that might clarify what I am. I would never totally embrace any of these concepts. That includes all religions and so on. I don't follow any religion. Considering the possibility that a doctrine might be true doesn't mean belief or adherence to the entire doctrine. You guys don't care about that.
So, well, no, so I do. So, Chris,
certainty to things.
Real quick, because I don't want this conversation to end. I'm on again next week, and you can call back in, and there's places that we can engage online.